Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, as it were. Today is June 15th, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Intro to Law this week. It's a beautiful day outside here in Iowa. Behind me, I've got my island on Animal Crossing. Hope you're having a good day on your island, wherever it may be. Okay, let's talk about what we're working on this week. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you here because we've got important stuff. Okay, so on the schedule, finish up with constitutional law, probably our most important chapter in the whole book, and maybe the most important thing that you'll study in college. I think so anyways. Maybe I'm a little biased, but we need to know the rules um, that surround what we do every day, how our country works, why it doesn't work sometimes, and how can we fix it. A lot of that can be found through the study of constitutional law. All right, so please finish that up. Of particular focus in the second part is issues surrounding free speech in the First Amendment. This is a really pertinent issue. I mean, it's never not pertinent, but right now, as we have protests going on every day and argument about uh, what is the proper form of protest, how do we address systemic racism, over policing, all of these things, we get into thoughts about what is allowable in a protest, what is allowable in free speech. And a lot of the really important cases in First Amendment law come from protests from various groups. So we'll talk about what some of those cases are. You do have a First Amendment quiz that is due Thursday, 11:59 p.m. It has to be completed and submitted by then. Please don't miss this for a number of reasons. One, it's 25 points. It's an important part of your grade. Every semester, people blow this off, and then they get to the end, and they're like, oh, can I do that quiz now? And it's like, no, it's over, it's done, it's closed, right? So you have to do it on time. The other thing is that it's a really good warm-up for the midterm exam, which starts 1 week from today exactly, okay? I'm telling you, you're hearing it here first. The midterm exam is Monday, June 22nd or Tuesday, June 23rd. You get to take it once, and you do not have to sign up in advance. But read the directions this week, read them carefully. Ask me questions. Ask questions of DOE-exams at uiowa.edu if you have questions, because once you sit down to do that exam, you get one attempt. It's closed book, closed notes. It is proctored through the Proctorio browser extension, so you need to set all that up, get that ready to go, and you have to take it one of those 2 days. Every semester I get people who like get their final grade and they didn't take the midterm, and they're like, oh, can I take the midterm now? No, you got to take it these 2 days. It's not a free form class where you just take it at any point. You got to take it on those days. After that, it's closed and it's over, and it's really hard to pass a class if you don't take the midterm. So please, 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 I hope you're watching this video, and I hope you are logging in to look at the work that has to be done this week and the midterm that has to be taken Monday or Tuesday. Also, the midterm cuts off at 11:59 and 0, that's 0, seconds on Tuesday. If you started at 11:57 p.m. on Tuesday, you're going to get 2 minutes, and then it's going to cut you off and submit. Nothing I can do about that. Nothing I can do to change that. That is the deal. So you have to be done by then. Give yourself enough time to be done by then. All right. I always get people who are like, oh, I started it, at 11, and then all of a sudden I wasn't ready and it submitted. It's like, I'm telling you now. Also, don't use keyboard shortcuts. If you use Control F or something to try to search in there, it will cut you off. All right. Don't do it. It says that in the instructions. Some of you will read it, many of you will not. But I'm telling you right now, do not use keyboard shortcuts. Play it straight. Just do it like it's a actual test in a room. Don't try to use keyboard shortcuts or any other kind of shortcuts. All right, I'm off my soapbox from that. Just I want you guys to do well and be successful in the class. And in order to do that, you have to show up and you have to do the work. All right? Cool. Now then, let's take a look at some constitutional law stuff. So if you go into the modules, module 6.1, all about the First Amendment, click through to our SharePoint site and you see I have a list of links. All right. These are not required reading, but it will really help you. The First Amendment quiz is open book, open notes on time. So use these resources. There's no excuse not to get 25 out of 25 in this if you're careful and do a good job, okay? I have some cases here. Brandenburg versus Ohio, Citizens United, Dennis versus U.S. My ancestor tried for witchcraft. I mentioned that in the lecture videos, okay? But you can read about some of the protests and things where these cases came about. And what we really think about a lot in this is fighting words and imminent lawless action, okay? So if somebody is just giving theories about a new form of government, you know, what could be in sort of an academic sense, probably okay. If somebody's getting in your face, if they're screaming, if they're rallying people to like, hey, let's go overthrow the government, you know, right then and there, that tends to be not protected by free speech. So you look at the slides and the cases and take a look at that. There's no like one bright line. Somebody asked me last semester, is there like certain words that are automatically not protected or automatically fighting words? And they asked about a certain racial slur. I don't know of any cases that say this word's protected, this word isn't, because you have to look at the circumstances, right? Now, I'll tell you, if you use racial slurs against people, especially in physical proximity, that's likely to be fighting words because it's going to provoke an immediate violent response, right? So don't do that. I assume the question was just an academic one, not a practical one, but it's a practical matter. Don't do that. Um, but you know, is just kind of look at these and look at the different circumstances and see when something is fighting words and when it isn't. In the First Amendment, we also treat religion and religious rights of not only people but corporations increasingly, which to me is an odd but interesting thing to think about, that a corporation can have a religion, right? Also down here, I share some resources with you about hate speech and street harassment on campus. Now, I know right now most of us are not on campus, but in the fall, it's possible that some or all of us will be. And you get these street preachers often near the business school who yell really nasty, like sexist slurs at women. They'll say like really, you know, mean or awful things to people to try to provoke a response. And one guy got in my face and yelled, "Yoga pants ain't real pants." And I just thought, okay. I wasn't wearing yoga pants. I did go and buy some of those things. Are really comfortable, by the way. For the record, I think they're real pants, whatever. Um, but if you are encountered with this, I've given you some resources here about like what to do as far as if you see something going on, you know, say something. It's not okay for people to be um, you know, yelling and screaming and causing you know, fighting words and violent responses. They say something you don't agree with about religion, okay, well, that's protected speech, but it's not when you're not you, when they are trying to start physical fights. And I've seen a number of these guys leave in handcuffs because what they're doing is illegal. So, you know, free speech is important, but not all speech is protected. Sometimes people take that way too far when they create violence. All right, so I've got some resources for you here about that. Finally, one final thing today, I want to commend to your attention. I'll put a link up as well. The Supreme Court has decided some important cases today and made a really important decision about employment discrimination law. We're not going to get into employment discrimination law until the second half of the class. But what they decided in these consolidated cases was that federal employment discrimination law protects people who are gay and people who are transgendered from discrimination in the workplace. About half the states already have that protection. Iowa protects sexual orientation, does not protect transgender employees. But now this is federal law, and this is across the whole country. Um, and this derives from Title VII in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination in the workplace and public accommodations and housing, etc., based on gender. In the 1980s and into the 1990s, the Supreme Court interpreted sexual harassment as gender-based discrimination. And that is not written in the 1964 legislation. It was 1964. People weren't using the term sexual harassment. It was occurring, but it was not legally prohibited at the time. And the court said, sexual harassment is discrimination in the workplace. It interferes with work, and it's based on gender of the target. The question before them in these cases decided today was, is discriminating against someone based on their sexual orientation or their transgender status, is that also discrimination based on gender? And the court, in a 6-3 opinion, said, yes, it is. This is a really important landmark case. It's going to have a lot of ramifications across the whole country. It's going to protect people from discrimination in the workplace. I have to say, I did not anticipate this result. I actually thought it would maybe go the other way, but it's very interesting. So I'll drop a link for this both in the video, and also I'll send an announcement about it because it's a really important case. I think you'll hear a lot about it. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll have office hours on Wednesday from 11 to noon if you want to stop by and chat about anything. And I hope you're doing well and staying safe and healthy. Let me know if you have any questions about First Amendment quiz or exam or anything like that. All right. So have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.